welcome to the Tapped Out Podcast Network. I'm Nick McDaniel, and we're here for the Tapped In Podcast. We've got this revolving door going pretty good now, but man, it has been a while, so we're glad to be joined again by the Frat Daddy himself, Bryce Cannon. What's going on, my man?
What's up? Yeah, I messed that rotation up quite a bit, getting, injured there. So was not TV camera ready. So I appreciate Grillo for stepping in, being a good soldier there and taking place day of, yeah, but no, it's good to be back, ready to talk some Georgia wrestling and see what we got so far.
Well, man, boy, do we ever, everybody, we're going to jump into the Indy Rewind here in a minute. Got a lot of Q&A stuff sent in, and we've got some follow-up conversations I wanted from a talent perspective, per se, when we're talking about Georgia wrestling. And then, of course, the blind reveal at the end. Wouldn't be a blind reveal episode with the Frat Daddy if we didn't talk a little about frat movies or college movies. But before we do that, we always like to remind you at the beginning of the show, guys, patreon.com/tappedoutpod. Just listen, we go through it every show, right? $1 level gets you the show notes, gets you the weekly TV show reviews. The $5 level is going to get you, the shows early. $10 level is going to get you the digital version of that, collectibles, and anything we ever do early. But, of course, my favorite, and I think most people's favorites, by the way, something you've participated in yourself, Bryce Cannon, that $25 tier where they get that exclusive 8.5 by 11 autographed, tapped out collectible. This past week, we shipped them out. I believe everybody should have those by now. This past month was none other than Cruel. We did 2 covers on top of that. I splurged this month and gave them a regular cover and a variant comic cover with him both on there. So what a value, man. And I can't believe more people aren't taking advantage of it.
Yeah, and Cruel is one of those guys, like he's everywhere. So you're special if you have that limited item, because he's going selling his regular 8x10s across the nation. And now I just saw that he released he'll be selling masks. Yeah. So be sure to pop up at his gimmick table to purchase a mask. It's possibly in time for Halloween, not sure. He said he'll get you or like details on his shipping and everything like that. So, but that's pretty cool that Cruel's doing all of that. And it's pretty cool that he did it for only $25 for the members here,
I told somebody, I'm like, you can't go to his table and buy that for that.
Right, exactly.
Like, you're getting all the perks of being a Patreon member basically for free.
It's a world champion.
He's the MLW World Heavyweight Champion, 100%. That's where I was going to strike it on. And, I can't believe, Anyway, let's get over the value that we always have there.
Let's quit putting him over.
Yeah. But hey, listen, yours look great too. Don't lie to yourself.
Yeah, no, mine were great. Mine were great. It was, focused on the my run as the legacy champion at Southern Honor Wrestling. And no, I got a lot of great feedback on the design of those.
Yeah, the snake, Bryce as a snake, I loved it. It was great. But look, let's get to the business because we got a full show to talk about. So, of course, let's jump in. We open up every week here on the Tapped In Show with the Georgia Indy Rewind. And let's dive right in straight to Friday night, October the 24th. Let's start up at Royston, man. Up there in the Royston Dome every single week. They're there. By the way, not this upcoming week. They're taking a rare holiday off, which they do from time to time. So they'll be off on Halloween. So make sure you get some plans, and there's going to be tons of shows we'll talk about on the Tapped Out show. But Ashton Martin picked up a big win over Scott Mason. But look, a lot of the stuff, let's jump right into the title pictures, man, while we're talking about it. The SCA Tag Team Champions, Seabolt and Tower, they've retained. Richard Page is having some struggles with Greatness Inc. He's got his team coming. They just keep coming up short. It was the Unibeast, Dexter, and Savage this week. Nick Kalen, somebody I know you're familiar with. He's the Friday night champion up there up at the Royston Dome. He picked up a big win over Stevie Ray Frost. How familiar are you with Stevie? Because Stevie's all over the state, man.
Yeah, so I have never wrestled Stevie, but I have been on shows with him, and I've seen him. I've seen his in-ring work and everything like that. I think he's a great talent that he's one of those that I definitely think should be used on some of the quote bigger shows, I guess you could say.
Currently he's a champion down there at Premier. So, he's a big, it's a big big deal for him. And I just think he's a different cat. Let's leave it at that. He's a different cat for sure. The big shocker that happened over the past couple of weeks, though, however, Lucas De Silva is your Southern the SCA Squared Circle Action Heavyweight Champion. Picked up a huge win when he cashed in that Power Square, but he picked up another big win against Alexander Lev at this past week's show. Massive win because Lev is a top guy pretty much everywhere across the state.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is a big win because, I mean, just last week, I believe it was. I mean, time flies. I think it was last week. NWA was here in Atlanta. Lev was, headlining one of the matches there in that casket match. And De Silva was one of the guys, in the back helping as an extra. So for him to, get that victory, it kind of just shows, I mean, just because he's an extra on NWA doesn't mean he's not a powerhouse at SCA,
Yeah. But the big shock of it all, man, to the shock of, JJ and De Silva both, Richard Page came out to offer Lev a business card and, give him a hand to help him out, help him off the ground there. They did leave the ring together after Page said something to Lev. So, of course, that means is Lev going to side with Richard Page there? Time will always tell. But listen, Richard Page, he's not just a thorn in the side of, the top guys. He's also a thorn in the side of James Boulevard there, who is the powers that be currently at SCA. So time will tell how everything's going to play out up there at SCA. Make sure you're checking them out on YouTube, by the way. Give them a follow on social media because on a rare occasion like this Friday, they take a Friday off. You need to know their next show is November the 7th there at the Royston Dome. Also on Friday, DWA, they ran down. They're getting into a regular rotation from my understanding. They're going to be running at the Wild Wing there in Alpharetta. So, follow them on social media because it's pretty – the schedule for DWA, I will give the powers that be there at DWA credit. They're bringing in a lot of big names, a lot of big stuff, and we're going to dive into some of that. Joe Black wrestled Niji Ichiban, title for title, the Southern Honor title versus the DWA title. There, it did go to a no contest as Grayson Pierce. Is that somebody you're familiar with? I know you've kind of run across him in the past.
Yeah. Very familiar with Grayson Pierce. Another guy that I've never wrestled, but been on plenty of shows with, and he's one of those young guys that is super. It's like a video game character, man. I don't think there's anything he can't do. Super impressive guy.
Yeah. Alex Kane was on the card. He picked up a big win over Dave Stage. Dave Stage, another guy I would like to see on some more shows around the Georgia area.
Right.
Mr. Danger, the Ultraviolet Championship. I almost called him the Ultraviolet Champion. The Ultraviolet Champion defeated Jay Taylor in one of the most memorable moments of the night. They're calling it was a coast-to-coast through a door and then hit a 450 on him afterward to put him away. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a mixed tag, something that I think a lot of people there's a mixed tag team I think a lot of people out there want to see. Teriyaki tears it up all over the state. Jazzy Yang is she's their top female talent there, and those two went into to become a team. And if you know, but they performed quite well as they picked up a big win there as well. One of the big things that happened on that night, however, Effie in town, somebody I know you're familiar with, and he defended the GCW championship against Jay Lucas. He did successfully defend that, but I knew you would probably have a word or two to put in about one Effie coming back to Atlanta.
Yeah, Effie, he's a very entertaining character. He did put the tip in his mouth during our match, so that was a little different for me. But no, Effie's good, and it's awesome that DWA is able to bring in a world champion. I mean, they bring in Cruel, so I mean they've got some name value dropping in on their shows, but. I don't think Effie's going to be dropping that GCW title anytime soon. I mean, I thought I had a phenomenal chance, coming back off of injury and him being one of the first people I went after. But yeah, no, that's awesome and a great opportunity for Jay Lucas. It sucks that he's not our GCW world champion, but hey, I was in the same boat.
I'm really happy that, a promotion like DWA is giving that opportunity to a guy like Jay Lucas to come out, and and be fair, you got your shot, same place, right? It was the same,
right.
So I love a lot of what they're doing there. They had a great crowd show up. But the main event of the night, they had a 5-on-5 elimination tag. It's the Apex, Chainmail, Grayson Pierce, CB3, Darko, and Warden took on Byron Young, Dallas Cage, KJ Valentine, Corinne, and a surprise partner of all who turned out to be Stunt Marshall. And the whole thing was the loser must disband their group, their faction, call it what you will. Golden Class picks up a win. Apex now is officially done there at DWA. I have a very hard time, though. No offense, Chainmail. But I find it very hard to believe that Chainmail's going to hold his word to this, that there's going to be something that is going to come back in this promotion. That's just my take. Call it for what you will. If you had to trust it, would you?
No, absolutely not. Chainmail says everybody loves me, but all he does to lie to everybody else. So let's be for real. So yeah. I don't see that. I think the faction may disband, quote unquote, but I think there's some tag teams that may be formed that may or may not be linked together in a way.
Correct. Again, we always tell you, make sure you're following them on social media, but even better, you can follow them on YouTube and IWTV. Their next show is November the 11th. We'll, of course, on the Making the Drive stuff, we'll all be promoting their shows, so keep us a follow as well. Biggest show, in my opinion, no knocks on anybody else's show. Massive show in Conyers, Georgia, Platinum Championship Wrestling. Turn the page, essentially their WrestleMania, call it, it's their big show of the year. All roads had been leading to it. Let's just start at the top and work our way down. Dominic Stuckey, 3 Stages of Hell. There's going to be a theme this weekend with this. 3 Stages of Hell. He finally defeated the Hoochie Daddy after what seemed to be like 2 years of those guys feuding. There'll be a trend here this weekend. That, it was on and on and on, but Dominic Stuckey is your new PCW champion, and you got to tip your cap to the guy that it took a long time to get there, but he's there.
I'll tip my cap to him. It's glad that he's finally following in my footsteps. That's all I'll say on that one.
Also,
multiple areas.
Multiple areas. The Dealer's Choice Championship, Falls Count Anywhere in the building. It was Huck, was willing to put his career up on the line versus the title. However, William Huckabee did defeat DJ Smoke. He is your new Dealer's Choice champion. All those young fellas over there that are running around in PCW, that's going to be a hard guy to knock off the top there as the Dealer's Choice champion. Rose Gold, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a video that Platinum or PCW put out, and I think Huck may have put it out too, where like he was talking about, it's been, I believe, 14 years he had been at PCW, no championships won, hardly any main events and things like that. So to come full circle here in 2025 is pretty cool. Yeah,
we're big, friends of the show, William Huckabee. Congratulations, man. We're glad you reached that. I know it was something he was been really working hard to get to. The women's champion, Rose Gold, lost her title against Ravina. Listen, and I apologize up front. Ravina Xin, is it Zen? I
think it's Zen, like almost
Zen.
like a Zin.
That's what I thought it was.
Anything that starts with an X, I'm confused. But
yeah,
xylophone, so that's what I think of. So I'm a Ravana Zen.
Yep. Big War Van Delegation. Nathaniel Vanderbilt has a group called Van Delegation. It's on the. I'm reading the notes, folks. Defeated the Syndicate in the left-hand path. After the Syndicate was they restrained Austin Towers, leaving Trey Shaw completely outnumbered and vulnerable. Shocking numbers game based on something Vanderbilt would do. He also, by the way, the Book of Destiny Invitational. Nathaniel Vanderbilt, there aforementioned, outlasted the entire field, and he now has an opportunity to cash in, if you want to call it that. He can challenge any PCW champion anytime, anywhere. So all of those champions, whether it be Will Huckabee or Dominic Stuckey, watch your back, because I wouldn't put him past anything.
Right.
And what a lot of people would be considered now, I'm not familiar with all parties involved. Obviously, Skrilla the Great, I'm very familiar with. Edward Draven, not so much. And so I'm calling this, in my opinion, probably what was the upset of the night. Edward Draven defeated Skrilla the Great after a little interference, of course, and what was being called an Earn My Respect match. I'm not really sure how much respect is earned when, their interference is there. But as some people who co-host the show say, but a win's a win. It doesn't matter how you get it.
But hey, if you pin somebody in a Earn My Respect match, hey, the guy has to respect you. That's the name of the game. It's wrestling. You got to follow the rules.
Okay, I got you. No, I agree. A win's a win. I'll go with that. Also, the ENT, by the way, big win over Chad Skywalker and Country Strong Jay Shaw after Aaron Black attacked Chad Skywalker, basically leaving again, Jay Shaw by himself. So long story short, guys, a lot of stuff shifted. The whole landscape of PCW just completely shifted on Friday night. New champions all around, new factions all around. It was just a chaotic show there. And as always, we tell you, make sure you're following them on YouTube as well, social medias, because they run a lot of shows in PCW, a lot of shows. There's a really complicated schedule. So much so, by the way, their next show, this Friday. They're running again on Halloween for a special. So, and I know you've got a lot of history there in PCW as well.
Yeah, I do. Former Dealer's Choice champion, former heavyweight champion. A lot of history down there, especially whenever it was, I believe it was called the remix or PCW remix or rewind. I forget what they were calling it back then, but pretty much the upstart of PCW after its long hiatus there. But yeah, no, deep roots there. I mean, the guys behind the Magic, Naja, Brian, Blaze, not sure if Matt Hankins is still involved there or not. But those guys, I mean, they've got one goal in mind, and it's to help not only younger talent, but also talent that are still trying to find their way. And the guys who have already found their way, I mean, they're there helping guys as well. I mean, you got Will Huckabee there. I mean, you got guys like Stuckey. I don't like talking too good about him, but I mean, you got guys that have the experience behind them that can work with the trainees at PCW, which is cool. And it also is a cool place because they do have the training school. So, you work hard and then you get rewarded by being on the show if you're, up to par. So, PCW has always been one of those places that I've loved. Hadn't been there in quite a while, but you never say never. But we'll see what the future holds.
Yeah, I love it. One thing I love about PCW, a lot of the vibe we hear and the conversations I have with the people there, it's cool to see the young and up and get an opportunity, but also the vets, look, like a Huckabee, like a Stuckey, like you said, that'll turn around, reach back, grab the hand, and help pull those guys up along the way. So, that's why we're big fans of PCW. So make sure you're giving them a follow specifically. Go see them there in Conyers or also on YouTube. Speaking of school-type promotions, let's go jump to Saturday. One Fall Wrestling, they ran in Winder. I was at this location, by the way. Super cool night. They got the lights out. They had lights everywhere. There'll be pictures up. I mean, you can check them out on their social media. Seven matches, like clockwork, like they always do if you're familiar with how the One Fall works. I just want to dive into a couple of specific matches. I'm not knocking any of the others. They were all what you're used to accustomed to seeing. Cartello Grillo is kind of starting to get in full force there. One Rosario Grillo and KJ Impala, they picked up a win over Michael Solar and CJ Montana. But it's kind of cool to see a little bit of this team starting to play into fruition. I saw a little bit of it at the Gainesville location when I was at that venue. Interesting. Keep an eye out for Cartello Grillo. They're going to be a problem across the state of Georgia if people don't want to watch it. I wanted to get your take, though. What I considered probably, literally, I can't believe I'm going to say this in a weird way, and it's not a knock on either guy. Show-stealing match of the night. Sunny Days wrestled QT Marshall, and what has to be called an upset. Sunny Days defeated QT Marshall in QT Marshall's backyard, his home promotion. Mm-hmm. I mean, what do you make of that?
The magic of the Pumpkin King. Did he have his pumpkin face paint?
Yep.
That's it, man. I've wrestled that version of Sunny Days. Southern Honor did a show in a park one time, and that version, when Sunny Days puts on that orange, a different man comes out. He's already scary enough when he's got the original colors on, but man, when that orange and black come out, you're done for. So I mean, I felt what QT was up against. Halloween is Sunny Days is time of the year. So,
and look, QT broke out I don't know if you've seen the gear when he had the huge match with Big Boom AJ. He had the Doom gear on, the red with the Doom. He's in costume. You're thinking he's going to use the power. Still comes up short.
Nothing.
Hey,
cap off to Sunny Days there. Because, I mean, beating QT is no easy feat. I know that firsthand as well. So, but no, kudos. That's a huge win. And I mean, yes, some would say it's an upset because of the circumstances, but at the end of the day, when Sunny Days has that pumpkin makeup on, it's over.
It's the great pumpkin, right? It's
My money's on Sunny Days if he's got the orange.
Obviously, they do what they do. They closed out a show, went home, made a bunch of people happy. 8-man tag, just total chaos, as you can probably imagine, when you're throwing guys like Drago, Shoot Taylor, Jimmy Wild, Satnam Singh, Brady Booker, etc. is in there. The baby faces, they pick up the win, send everybody home happy. Shocking that's how it works. Look, it's just what they do. They're hitting all these venues. You got to keep up with them, man. They're all over. It's arguably, probably, in my opinion, the absolute. If you're a fan of One Fall, you better be following them specifically on social media, especially on Facebook.
Yeah, they're the one promotion that I think will promote another event on the show day of another event. Like if you go on their social media, it'll say, show whatever today's date is. It's a Monday, so I'm pretty sure they've got a show tonight. I'm sure, but you'll go to their Facebook and be like, okay, what time are doors for this show? You'll go, and then they're promoting the show for Thursday already, and it's show day. You think, but they are killing it. They are killing it.
Literally check out the Tapped Out podcast. Myron and I on the Making the Drives. 4 shows this weekend that we have to promote for One Fall alone. Just that, it's like, all right. On top of all that, by the way, they're not just doing all the live events. You got to follow them on social media because they're hyping their Peachtree Sports. They're hyping their Triller TV show. Comes on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Oh, and by the way, like I said, their next show is the 30th, so that's kind of the middle of the week. So that's One Fall wrestling for you.
And not to mention, most of their talent is traveling for television on Wednesdays anyway. So
yeah,
it's like
and Saturdays because between Collision, Collision and between Dynamite, they're traveling. Yeah. Also on Saturday, we're saving a big one for you. I know you want to get into. I wanted to save some time for that, so let's jump into GCW, Georgia Classic Wrestling over in Buckhead. Over there at the Gotta Be Rolling Skate Center. It's a fun little, if you're over there in that little corner of Georgia, I always recommend go checking it out. It's a really, it's just a blast. Some people would argue one of the highlights of the night, Pat Roach has returned. He defeated Jacob Ashworth, which is a massive win anywhere in the Northeast to pick up a win, especially for a guy like Pat Roach, man, coming in and just picking it up like that.
Yeah, things have gone in the can when the highlight is Pat Roach returning.
Hey.
That's how you know things are rough. But no, that's awesome. I know Pat. He's working hard. He's motivated. He's killing it where he can. I like picking on Pat, but he's a hell of a talent. He's definitely one of those guys that loves the sport for the sport and not the politics of it. So. Yeah. It's cool to see guys like that have their moments.
I genuinely tell him I love having a guy like him who just genuinely embraces the hate. That's hard to find these days. That guys that legit don't want the fans to hate them, and that he loves heat, and he's one of those guys.
Yeah, no, he knows how to be a heel.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he's that way in real life, so.
The sweeper Jack Miles, he defeated Xander Seabold, and he is the new GCW television champion. Look, some people call it that's another one that some could argue as a kind of an upset. But if you've been there in the GCW building as of late, Jack Miles, the sweeper, he's been picking up all kinds of momentum. But I got a feeling Xander Seabold might have a little something to say about that. Bad Company, they did retain the tag team championships, but main event of the evening, Nick Halen. I got the report that said it was an upset. Nick Halen, I did not write this. Nick Halen upset Chop Top to retain the Georgia Heavyweight Champion in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Let me tell you something, folks. Nick Halen defeating Chop Top, who's a formidable opponent, that ain't an upset. If you've been around Georgia wrestling long enough, Nick Halen, had to be, in my opinion, and I could be incorrect, had to be the odds-on favorite going into that match. I'm not sure who wrote this, right?
I mean, maybe they were upset that Nick Halen won. Maybe that's what maybe they got their grammar a little mixed up and didn't really understand the context of an upset.
Again, they're there. Their next show, Thanksgiving weekend, November the 29th. They're on YouTube as well, so check them out. It should be a blast of a show to check out there. Last but not least, Saturday, Savannah, Georgia. Going to strike a little nerve here, I'm sure, as we get into these conversations. Coastal Empire Wrestling, right down there, like I said, in Savannah. Huge win for a young man named Christian Taylor as he's been making an impact all over the state of Georgia. Defeats one Zach Mosley by DQ when he kind of just couldn't keep his temper in check. Simon Sermon defeated Randy Reno. Questions about that. I can't, I was eager to see that match. I was up there recently and saw kind of the setup for some of this, and I was curious.
All I know is I saw a picture. I didn't get to watch the show. I was prepping for my match, but I saw a picture of Simon, and I mean somehow Randy like intertwined Simon's feet in the top and middle rope, and Simon is just hanging on the outside, just upside down, like a Halloween decoration. Not sure what was going on with it or what Randy did while he was there, but it was just a wild picture that I thought I had mistakenly seen, but it was in fact real.
Real quick, Kevin Cantrell picked up a huge win. J. Alpha Miller picked up a huge win. Michael Walker, he is your Coastal Empire champion, defeated Xavier Cross by pinfall after Simon kind of got involved or whatever. Xavier Cross, by the way, coming back. I think this is a huge win for Michael Walker because I'm a huge proponent of the Xavier Cross guy. He's a big monster dude, and I was kind of intrigued to see how that would play out down there at Coastal Empire. But kudos to Michael Walker, man. That's a big win in my opinion as the champ.
Yeah, from what I heard, I think there was some finagling around, and of course he can't beat him like a man. Old Main Event Mike is what he's calling himself, but of course he couldn't. I don't think he did it alone per se.
No, Simon gave the ring and loads the punch, and of course that's how you pick up a win. Shocking, right?
Yeah, right.
The Allen brothers. Well, let's go back in order. Young Mighty Joe defeated Hakeem Young by DQ when Tommy Mars interfered. They of course jumped Young Mighty Joe. Chad Skywalker, whose name comes up a lot here on the show, he's made the save. The Allen brothers had came out, challenged all four to a title match. Allen brothers go on to pick up the win there, and they defeated both of those teams. However, the big news of the night comes out for that piece. Post-match, Chad Skywalker revealed that Hakeem Young, finally we have learned he was the one who was Nikki Eight's secret attacker, and absolute chaos ensued from that point on. Young Mighty Joe's coming off ladders, ladder match, blah, blah, blah. Looks like it says at some point coming up here in the next show, we're going to get a four-way match between all these people, and it's going to be a Law of the Jungle ladder match.
Right. That's what they're telling us.
That's what the powers that be say is on for the next show. Hunter James picked up a win over Sal Renaro, but let's get to the meat and potatoes, what we're here for, folks. Bryce Cannon, one-on-one with Dax Anthony in the 3 Stages of Hell match. Congratulations, Bryce Cannon defeats Dax Anthony in the 3 Stages of Hell.
And I am feeling it. I am feeling every ounce of that. I've got bruises. I've got cuts. It was rough. Dax Anthony took me to my limit. I will give him that. First fall was.
Hold on, I want to pause because and I hate to cut you off. I'm gonna give you all the time in the world, but I do want to ask you.
Who are you, Carl Anderson? Jeez.
No. Here, I very specifically did something that you said. I think, you wanted, Dax Anthony took it to you. I don't think anyone's ever doubted Dax Anthony's abilities. It was you know what I mean? It was like it was just who and what he was doing. I think if he was focused on the right thing, no one is saying that he's not a champion.
Right.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, Dax is one of those guys, if he focused his talents and his mind in the right departments, he could be anything he wanted to be. He could be a champion elsewhere. He could be a champion at Coastal. He could be he could be a star. And I mean, but like I said, I mean, he took me to my limits. The first fall was the first blood match. I busted him open with a computer monitor wrapped in barbed wire. Um, Classy. The second fall was a tables match, which did not go my way and was the absolute worst bump I've ever taken in my life as he put me through the commentary table. Um, I mean, that table folded up like a sack of potatoes and slapped me in the face. It hurt so bad. And then let's see, the all or nothing death match. Because quite honestly, we gave it all or nothing out there. It was a car crash, trash cans, a barbed wire paddle, um, tables, a door, chairs, glass on a table. We brought it all out. There were no punches pulled to the point where I had to expose the wooden boards of the ring and attempt to perform a twisted T from the top rope onto Dax Anthony, and I slipped and I almost killed myself as well. But came out with the win. It was a brutal fall, took both of us out, but I was lucky enough to kind of roll over and get that pin. So, hell of a match. I can't wait to see it. I mean, there's already been some footage put on the Coastal Empire Wrestling page. We tried to do something unique. There's using like the meta glasses. Referee Clark, he had some meta glasses, so he filmed like some first person perspectives from him. There was a chair shot to one of our cameramen on accident, but it came out for a cool visual with the camera coming with the chair and everything. They put that on social media. Clark went through a door. My goodness, a door, which is cool to see first person. Just in case you're wanting to figure out like what it looks like to be in the ring, you kind of get that. So, but yeah, overall it was a huge success. And I don't know what's next. I mean, I think the animosity between Dax and I can probably simmer down a little now that we've kind of gave it to each other. I mean, I don't think there's anything left to give. So, but time will tell, and you know how wrestling is. It's never over till the fat lady sings.
Listen, maybe Dax Anthony will have time to cool off after this, and you can focus back on. Look, I get it. Hunter James is climbing his way back up to try to become the Coastal Empire champion. Let's interject Bryce Cannon into the mix, or after the fallout of this ladder match coming up at the next show, maybe Bryce takes the Chaos Championship. There's always something.
Well, I mean, the Chaos title isn't a bad idea because it would put me as the first, Triple Crown, champ.
Yeah.
I've got the tag titles. I've got the heavyweight title. The only title I haven't held is that Chaos title.
Find out more as you follow them on YouTube. And November 29th, they're back Thanksgiving weekend as well. And look, that's all of the shows that we're covering for this past weekend, which always leads us straight into the question we always ask: who won the week? This weekend's pretty simple, in my opinion, and I'm going to answer both, so you don't have. I'll let you comment, but I picked these folks myself. My first pick, there's going to be two. One, I think an easy Dominic Stuckey. He finally captured the PCW championship. Like I said, it was a long chase. It's like a 2-year run here. The feud with him and Naja. Finally, this is like finish the story to it, on at a PCW's level, right? That.
Right.
I think Dominic Stuckey has been fighting for, acceptance across the state, amongst many other things. Everywhere he's gone, he's been Southern Fried. He's at WrestleAmerica. He's here, it's everywhere and anywhere and everywhere. This marks, a first opportunity to say, as he planted his flag, and he's saying, hey, I'm here. I'm, Dominic Stuckey.
Yeah, and I mean, Stuckey's also been one of those staples of PCW ever since the relaunch of it. I mean, he was there from the beginning when it launched, and I'm pretty sure he was there during the original days too, maybe towards the tail end of them. But so I mean, Stuckey has some deep roots in PCW, and I know that I haven't really been around PCW since ENT has been around and Naja's group and everything. So, I mean, I can only imagine what Stuckey has been going through there to get his hands, honestly, on Naja and that title. So it's pretty cool to see something come full circle, and it's good to see long term storytelling as well. Things don't happen overnight, but once you get that 2 year build, there's just a lot of fan investment at that point, a lot of talent investment, and so seeing a payoff like that is very rewarding.
I completely agree. I think we're so fast, especially when we do month to month shows, that we feel eager and rushed. But yet here we are in a promotion that runs a couple times a month, yet they took the time to run that thing for that long.
Right.
So kudos to those. Now, my other pick, because I did pick two, listen, I know you're not one to pat yourself on the back or anything, but I'll take a moment. Like, you have finally, hopefully, put the nail in the coffin of this issue with Dax Anthony. We will tell Bryce Cannon's the other, winner of the week that it's because this thing very similarly year plus.
Yeah. I mean, it all really happened because let's go ahead and just pull the curtain back. We had the plan to bring Dax Anthony in April of last year, and everyone knows I got hurt in March. Had to have surgery, and so it the plan was for Dax and I to start a story there. I mean, he, after the match I got hurt, he came over a Zoom call and started talking crap. So the plan was for me to wrestle him in April. Of course, that didn't happen. I was, had needed surgery and everything, and so instead of just forgetting about it, we, took it and ran with it. How can we still build this without being physically involved, And so we found the ways, built the story, and I mean, I think it turned out pretty good. I mean, the fans were invested, and this was what I was talking about with the long term storytelling over a year's worth of things going on, and fan investment, talent investment, and I mean, I think it was a locker room sellout as well. So everybody was just trying to see what was going to happen, and I think everybody got their money's worth. Of course, there's things here and there that I would have changed during the match and things like that. But hey, overall, I mean, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the result, and I can't wait to see what happens in the future.
And listen, I'm eager to see it. I'm ready to get a copy. When it drops on YouTube, check it out myself. I'm sure. And look, you brought up storytelling. It's one of the things that kind of has taken Coastal Empire. Look, you guys, great things at the awards, and kind of moved you guys into conversations about being at the top. So before we got into this week's category, underrated, underappreciated, I wanted to ask you, a couple of weeks ago, Matt Griffin was on, and we had a conversation about the Power 5 promotions in Georgia. And I felt like, hey, I thought it was an interesting conversation from somebody with his perspective, because he's kind of a little bit different. He's not just a talent, he's a promoter, he's an owner, etc. But I was like, hey, somebody else who comes on who's kind of familiar with a lot of the promotions across the state, because you work a lot of them. I know I asked you beforehand, did you listen to it? What were your thoughts? Just real quick before we jump into this week's category, I wanted to ask you, just kind of follow up from a wrestler's perspective. What did you take from that conversation? Because I've gotten a lot of feedback, people agreeing and some people really not agreeing with some of the things that we said.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree, because it's a free for all here in Georgia at this point. If you're a worker, you've got several promotions you can pick from. If you're a promoter, it pushes you to your limits, because it's like, okay, how can I stand out? So I think Matt nailed it on the head with everything that he was saying. But from at a talent perspective, I think it's pretty much the same as well. It's okay, how do I stand out? Because the top shows are going to pick the top talents. So it's like, okay, how do I get on those top shows? And the best way to do that is, I mean, there's shows running all the time. So it's like, pick a show, get your footage, send it to those top promotions, and get where you want to be. So it's a benefit for talent, I think. But it can also be one of those, okay, hard for fans, because there are so many shows to pick from. I mean, look at this weekend. I mean, we had a bunch of shows to pick from, but
Yeah.
at the same time, fans are going to these shows. I mean, all these shows are doing rather well when you hear the attendance.
Yeah, and and one of the other specifics I wanted to get into is, Matt and I discussed, we felt the landscape changing, and look, and I don't want you to get in. I know some people are hesitant about, getting super specific,
Mm-hmm.
but even in January, we had a list of like, hey, these are what we called the power. These are the 5 promotions where the boys want to work and whatever, and I'm like, I just think it's changing. We're in a season of flux. We talked about it years ago when we started the podcast. Everything, what the pecking order was, that shifted a few years. 5, 6, 7 years ago, it shifted. Now I feel like it's doing it again, and I think there's new players out there. And I think for some reason it's just because the metrics are all different because everybody's trying to accomplish anything. I went out on a limb and said, listen, I don't know what the metrics are for me personally. And, Matt made the same case. Matt was like, look, one falls in a separate league. They're just doing something completely different. And then so that if you do, there's 5. So did you find it interesting? We had a conversation where I'm like, I don't even know that they count as a Georgia promotion anymore. And his pushback was why all their shows are in Georgia.
Yeah, I think I don't think it's fair to do that anymore. And it kind of okay. So like you're saying, you how do I word it? So essentially, we're wanting to put one fall in a category because they're doing things better than everybody else. It's like, oh well, we can't factor in this promotion because they don't run as many shows as one fall, so they're in a different category. I don't think that's fair. One fall is a Georgia promotion, whether people like it or not. They haven't ran a show outside of Georgia to my knowledge.
They tried one and didn't happen. But good.
Okay, so but still, the majority of their shows have been Georgia. They are a Georgia promotion. Larry Otto. There has been talks of Larry Otto should not be considered a Georgia promotion because they bring in TV names. Big whoop. All of their shows have been in Georgia. Coastal Empire, they're in Savannah. Oh, well, they're in a separate category because they're away from all the rest of the promotions. No, they're in Georgia. The one promotion that people could complain about, and this goes back to like the Georgia Wrestling History Awards thing, would be Pro South because technically they're in Alabama. There's your one promotion that you could throw an argument for. But all of these other shows are Georgia. And it same goes for talent. It's like, oh, well, you got to can this guy because he works other states, but he's based out of Georgia.
Yeah.
So I think the whole like putting shows in different categories and everything just shows that one show is better than the others, and it's given an excuse to, sugarcoat why this show should be at a top of a list for something.
And listen, the whole conversation broke into like, hey, we think there's 1 or 2 at the top, but like 3 through 7 is a pretty bunch to mess. And I don't mean that as an insult to those guys.
That's
okay. A great thing. I made that case. It's a great.
If you're watching NASCAR, typically the first 3 cars are going to stay in their place, and the other ones you're going to see the board just do this the whole race, and that's just the name of competition. I mean, it's kind of like look at WWE. If Cody Rhodes has had the belt for a hot minute now, he's in first, but then you got Drew McIntyre, you got all these guys like fighting for number 1 contender spot. They're fluctuating, but that one person is going to be at the top. I mean, if you're the best, you're the best. And until somebody comes to be the best, you're going to stay in that position.
No, I completely agree with you there. I just was curious from a wrestler's perspective what you thought, which kind of leads us into there was a few questions that we've had over weeks that I've just been meaning next time you were. Look, we got them the last time you were supposed to be on, and things didn't work out. So I put them in the can to hold them for you this week.
If y'all would have wanted to hear my lisp, I could have come on, but it was horrible. I tried cutting that promo for Coastal, and it was horrible. It hurt so bad, but go on.
No, so this one kind of ties in a kind of a different kind of way between the 2 segments we're going to do. Marcus from Macon, Georgia asked, do you think there's a promotion or a town in Georgia that's completely underrated when it comes to fan support and atmosphere?
Yeah. I think I just mentioned him, Larry Otto. And you can call me biased for mentioning it. Dublin is a hotbed. Like, I mean, just the proof is in the shows there. I mean, we run 4 shows, and you can say, oh, well, they don't have anything going on there, so that's why they draw. But it's, you know, essentially the fans show up and support Lariato when there's a show, whether we're teaming with like the Micro Federation that comes to town. Lariato helps promote that, and a huge draw is done. So I think Dublin, Georgia is one of those underrated places that, a lot of wrestling does not happen there, but when wrestling does happen there, the fans show up and show out.
Yeah, he was a huge crowd. The last show when we came to the one there with the big triple threat, I agree with you there.
Of course, you had Bryce Cannon in the main event.
He's a draw. Haley from Woodstock, Georgia. Is there a wrestler in Georgia right now that you think is on the verge of breaking out nationally and being like a TV guy?
Without saying myself,
can't be you.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys, and I think the top of the list there is Joe Black. I think Joe Black is, and I tell people, like, when they ask me, like, just not even fans, but like friends and family, like, oh, when are you going to get on TV? Oh, yeah. It's right place, right time, right person sees you. And I think Joe Black's in a similar situation as I am when it comes to this. And I'm not speaking for him. I'm just speaking kind of from, what I've observed of myself, is that we've got the right connections. The right people have seen us. It's just one of those right place, right time type things. I think eyes are on Joe Black. I mean, he was at NWA, and I was there, listening into on some of the conversations that he was in, and I mean, he was talked very highly about. So I think Joe Black is that guy that he's just got it. He's got the look, he's got the moves, he's got the attitude, and I think Joe Black is the next TV star to come out.
I don't think people realize it enough. You talk about time and place. It even happens to guys who are on like NXT rosters. They're released. They're like, hey, we just don't have anything for you now. Doesn't mean we're not interested. We just don't have anything for you right now. And they let them go. And then next thing you know, boom, they bring them back when there's, boom. Oh, yeah. So timing's everything. Kayla from Canton said, is there a title in Georgia that you would love to hold that you have not held?
So here we go. Yeah, it goes back to Joe Black. He's holding that Southern Honor heavyweight championship. That is one that I would love to claim one day, and simply because not a lot of people know this, but my first time working with Southern Honor, I was an extra as a medic, helping get Alan Angels out of the War Games match after being. I forgot what happened to him, but I mean, we had put a whole neck brace on him and everything, and carted him out of the ring. And funny enough, it was actually me and Stax Lorenzo from NXT, old Channing Tatum, I think that was his name back on the Indies, and or Jake Tucker, I think his name was. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, I started at Southern Honor doing things like that, and then like to kind of be where Lev was, where it was like, okay, you're just going to go out there and kind of get beat up a little bit, and then just pray that something came of it. And I would say that, I've been rewarded, and I wouldn't even say rewarded, but I've been given opportunities to kind of, show and prove my worth at Southern Honor. And I think I've done that. So to be like Southern Honor champion would be just one of those full circle moments there. Also a championship that I really like the look of is I think it's called the Classics Championship at Southern Fried. I don't know why, I just like the look of that belt, so I'd like to see that one around my waist too.
Hunter, I would keep my head on a swivel Saturday. Let's go with that.
I mean, I've already beat him for one title. I got the Liberty Championship off of Hunter, so Classics should be a easy one too.
There you go. Manders, get it booked. Let's go with that. That's the questions. But now let's jump into this week's categories. We talk a little bit of the underrated, underappreciated, and listen, guys. Everybody asks me a lot, like, what's the criteria for the underrated, underappreciated? I think the category speaks for itself. It's just guys that we feel like, hey, for whatever reason, they need a little more, either they're underrated or they just don't get enough appreciation. Kind of makes sense, guys. Read the title. It should make sense. I'm going to start with, I had to do this on a week when he wasn't here because I'm going to start the list off with one Rosario Grillo. I think we're going to see this change with Cartelo Grillo across the state of Georgia. But right now, he would probably be the first name I throw out.
Yeah, no, I think not even talking in ring, I think the underappreciated side of this with Grillo is, his cannoli fans material. That is some of the best things that I've ever seen. He did one, and he's starting to get where he's editing the videos. Like, I think he was in Texas, with the Alamo, and he was like, "Oh, I'm forgetting something," and then boom, he's in front of the Alamo, and I laughed so hard when he bit into it, and he talks so highly that they filled the cannolis in front of him, and then he bites into it. It's not even filled the whole way. I thought that was great, but yeah, no, just the content that he's willing to put out, and on top of that, the dude works with a large wrestling company. So he's traveling, he's seeing things, and I think he could bring what he's learning on the road to a promotion and help tremendously.
1,000 is what I get into. Is like the conduit he could be from the things he hears and sees to pass down. That's the part I feel like he's a little underappreciated with. Manders may not be a big fan of this pick, but as of late, I know a gentleman that feels a little underappreciated is one Jacob Ashworth, specifically there in Southern Fried Championship Wrestling. There's gonna be some answers. This Saturday it's a whole different argument, but I just feel like Jacob Ashworth has been a staple in the Northeast Georgia corner for so long that maybe are the fans taking him for granted a little bit, and maybe that's the change in direction.
Yeah, so I was actually going to ask about this one because he's been feeling unappreciated. Was this a participation ribbon from the Tapped Out pod for putting him on a list?
No, I have been listen, Jacob Ashworth, we have joked for years that he is kind of like the Northeast Georgia Hogan. Like, he goes through these promotions and he's so just like, hey, if for the longest time, we would say, hey, if you need a top good guy in your promotion, Jacob Ashworth in that Northeast corner, that's your guy. Put him up against any of your heels and they're going to hate him. The problem I asked that question was, did promotions just start taking it for granted? He wasn't getting the title shots like maybe he should be getting because they were just like, oh, Jacob's here every week or Jacob's here every month. Jacob's, whatever. That's the underappreciated part.
Yeah, all jokes aside, I've wrestled Jacob Ashworth, and he's super solid in the ring, great talent. So I do, if the fans are taking him for granted and everything, I think these promotions should be booking him to show his worth and honestly prove himself. Let him do it.
I agree. Next on the list, might surprise a lot of people, Michael Solar. Here's why he makes my list. If you have not booked Michael Solar, shame on you. Because here's what he does that I think a lot of wrestlers are afraid to do, can't do, pick it. I don't know. You want funny, haha, you want the entertainment value, that's your guy. Shockingly, and I say that with all due respect to Michael Solar, actually get him in there with somebody and let him wrestle. He can wrestle.
Yeah, not to cut you off there, but yeah, just speaking on that, I wrestled him at One Fall a few months ago, and we kind of did a little bit of everything in our match because he was talking about how he's been trained by Gresham, he's trained by QT, he's trained by Cody, he's trained by all of these names, so he's able to take bits and pieces and of everything that he's been taught, and he wants to use them because I guess recently he had been training with Gresham whenever I wrestled him, and so they were going over like grappling things and reversals and stuff. So we incorporated those in our match. But of course, we did like the funny ha stuff, and then went and showed that he could work, which was super cool, super smooth, super safe. And I mean, the crowd loves him too. I think one of the first times I was on the pod, we talked about him, and I was talking about he was one of the guys that, did he look like a wrestler? And so ever since then, I've definitely seen improvements. Not saying it was because I said something or anything. I'm not saying that by any means, but he's definitely put more investment into himself, into the craft, which is good to see.
Yeah. Another young man. I know you're up close and personal. He was on the same show this past weekend.
I stay away from this one.
This guy, depending on where he's at, dude, is an absolute animal. He is a beast, strong as an ox. No Phil Bunyan jokes inserted here, but I tell people a year ago where he was. He was a little spot here, but he was getting regular work at SCA. To now, we're less than a year later. He's on Coastal Empire. He's on Bullpen. He's on Southern Honor. He is on, pick a promotion. He's Southern Fried. Like, he's there, dude.
Yeah. So Christian is one of those guys who, I mean, the promos alone are phenomenal. Him and Zach just did one, and it was more of a cinematic style. But the fact that he's able to kind of go to all of these different promotions and do the separate characters and things like that just shows how valuable he truly is. It shows like his range. It shows that he's his adaptability. I definitely think that he should be getting booked in more main matches per se, and not just cold matches. I think if you allow this dude to show that he's able to tell a story and able to execute points in a match, because I mean, he's proven it at Coastal already. And I think like the character he's, especially this insane character that he's going for right now, there's just been constant improvements every show I've seen him on. And I mean, I've been on shows with him one weekend, and then the next weekend he's already done something different with the character and improved himself. So
yeah,
I definitely think Christian Taylor is one of those underrated, more than underappreciated.
Last on our list is a guy that you brought up and I was like 100% agree. It's another guy who is he was a moves guy for a long time. I've had this conversation with him, so I'm not saying anything I haven't said.
Mm-hmm.
Now this character, it's like the personality, the entertainment side of it is starting to click with him, and that was Chad Skywalker.
Yeah, Chad is one of those. He, whether you know it or not, he's been around for a hot minute. He's got knowledge, and I don't think a lot of people know that. I don't know his story. I don't know anything like that too deep to talk about, but because I know when I first started, I didn't hear much of him or anything, and then I feel like in the past couple of years, he's kind of popped back up in a sense. And I mean, I don't know what the cause of that was, and honestly, I don't care, because he's proven himself. I mean, he's proven himself as an asset, especially at Coastal. He was one of those guys that I'll fully admit I didn't fully understand at first, because it was, here's a guy with a unique offense. That's what he was. But now it's like you said, the character work that he's doing, it's entertaining, and it's he's not just doing moves for moves. I've gotten the chance to wrestle him. He's a fun guy to work with, just because he is unique with some of the things he does. So it keeps you on your toes, and it's not just your typical arm drag that you're going to go into. You got to twist and turn and pivot when you can. So yeah, I definitely think Chad is one of those guys that more promotions should lock their eyes on and start paying, because he's a hell of a talent. He's going to entertain the crowd. He's going to pull the crowd, and I mean, he's going to impress them too.
Oh, I agree, and it's really cool to see him getting opportunities at like a Coastal, and One Fall's using him a lot as well. So he's getting a lot of great opportunities to work some TV talents as well. That is our underrated, underappreciated list. Rosario Grillo, Jacob Ashworth, Michael Solar, Christian Taylor, and Chad Skywalker. That, of course, brings us now to with a wrap-up of the show, where every single week we jump into the blind reveal, where we talk a little bit about, we come up with some categories, and it's a little more fun. It's Bryce's first sit down through the blind reveal. I've got a list. College/frat movies, 6 movies. We're hoping Bryce has seen them all. Yeah, we're hoping he's seen them all. I'm going to do them. You're going to rank them. I'm going to add them to the notes, and you can share any thoughts with them if you have any. And if it's something as simple as I've never seen it, then that'll make it easy to rank.
Right.
I am going to start with one of my – I'm not going to tell you where I would put it.
Okay.
Old School.
You're my boy, Blue. I'm going to go 2.
2.
I'm going to go 2 because it's a classic. It's one of those, like, if you haven't seen Old School, you got to. And if you don't know the reference, shame on you.
I was going to tell people it's probably one of the most quoted movies still of
Right.
that era, because I think it came out in about 2003, maybe somewhere in the early 2000s. So yeah, it's got to be one of the last couple decades, one of the most quoted ones.
Right.
Number 2, this is a sleeper movie, by the way. Have you ever seen Accepted?
I have. Ask me about my wiener, because that's going to be number 1. The SHIT, South Harmon Institute of Technology.
That's your number 1? That's your number 1?
Yeah. I loved Accepted. I don't know why. I loved Accepted.
Hey, I'm a fan. I'm not going to lie to you. I was a huge fan of it, but
I just don't know. I just don't know what else is there, and I feel like Accepted is like the one that I would remember the most. So that's my thought process of number 1.
So I did pull something dirty on you. The next one on the list, Neighbors.
I'm gonna play it safe and go 4 on that one. So I've got 1, 2, and 4 now blocked. Correct? Just because
you should be able to see them. I've got them. I'm adding them for you, so you have them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll pull it up then. So I think with Neighbors, it's more of like the party side and not necessarily the college side. So,
yes.
Which I mean, Old School is also, but Old School is just a classic. Yeah. So I'm gonna play it safe with 4 for Neighbors.
All right, next one on the list, Revenge of the Nerds, the original.
That's a classic too. That is a classic too. I'll go 5 on that one. Not as well known as Old School, but still a classic.
Back in our day, absolutely. By the way, there's a movie podcast that I listen to a lot. Uh-huh. Absolutely, Revenge of the Nerds has a laundry list of things that have aged the worst. They will not. That movie could not be made today. We'll leave it at that if you haven't seen it.
Oh yeah. No, it's a rough one.
Yeah, it's in hindsight, you're like, I really thought that was funny that long ago, like 30 years ago. It was hilarious.
I still think it's funny, but I'm not going to say it.
It's still funny, but yes, exactly. Next one on the list, Van Wilder, the original with Ryan Reynolds.
This is a movie that I've watched but didn't like invest myself in. And it's a lot. It should go in that 3 spot, but I'm not going to put it there because it's one of those that I didn't really invest myself in.
I will argue it's one of my favorite movies of all time. I actually own it. I actually bought it digitally. I have it on my. That's crazy. I'm aware, but I'm a big, massive Ryan Reynolds fan, so I'm partial. So
I don't watch a lot of movies. I should have disclaimed that I don't watch a lot of movies.
I knew that, but I figured this was more up your alley. If you'd ever seen it, this is probably ones you would have watched.
Yeah.
And falling at number 3.
I'm scared.
I'm going to type it. And then tell you it is Animal House, the original.
Okay. I'll go with that. This is a good one.
It's a great movie. Here's the problem, folks. I get it. So the list falls: number 1, Accepted; Old School 2; Animal House 3; Neighbors 4; Revenge of the Nerds 5; and Van Wilder 6. We get it, folks. Here's the problem. In my argument, I'm not the biggest Neighbors fan. I would agree with you there. That's just me. I'm not the biggest one. But all of these movies are classics.
Right. Well, so I was expecting. I believe American Pie has like a
There's a
one.
college one. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
two,
I
I
was
think,
waiting.
two.
I was waiting on that one. There's. I want to say there's like a movie called like College Road Trip or something that used to
Road
come on
trip.
like, yeah, Road Trip. It used to come on like Comedy Central all the time when Comedy Central used to do like movies and stuff late at night that you weren't supposed to be watching. Um, and so yeah, I was waiting on a few of those, so that's why my list is a little skewed. But looking at it, I would change a couple, but hey,
If you could change, you can't. But if you could change, what would you flip?
Okay, so I would probably go old school number one just because it is classic. I'd probably bump accepted to two. I would bring Van Wilder up to four, move or yeah, Van Wilder to three, excuse me. Animal House four, Neighbors, and then Revenge of the Nerds.
And you'd still be wrong, but that's okay. That's allowed. Well, there it is, folks. Like we said, accepted one, old school two, Animal House three, Neighbors four, Revenge of the Nerds five, six, Van Wilder. He doesn't get to change them. We would love to hear tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Send your hate mail for Bryce Cannon there and tell him how wrong he is. And we wouldn't
I'll
argue
go
with you a
watch
whole
all
lot.
of these now.
Now you need to go watch them all again.
Yeah.
Now, that way
See
you'll
if they
have all
hold
the
up.
information. Then you'll be able to have all the information. But of course, if you want all the information on local indie wrestling, we always tell you, check us out, patreon.com/tappedoutpod. We're not going down that laundry list of benefits again. Just go sign up, man. We just tell you, patreon.com/tappedoutpod. And we fully aware a lot of you guys are YouTube watchers or Spotify listeners or whatever. We're just asking you, just like it does there on the screen, subscribe, turn your notification bell on if you're a YouTube watcher. Subscribe if you're a Spotify, Apple Podcast, any podcast platform. Subscribe. Leave us some great reviews. Those are even handy to have from time to time, in my opinion. But, man, hey, it was cool having you back on. Glad to, hopefully you're back in the rotation. Try not to eat another ladder again or something like that. And hopefully you're done with that crazy. Can you just stick to some basic wrestling matches for a while?
I'm not good at wrestling. That's the problem.
It's next you're going to be a deathmatch guy just because you're like, I can't wrestle. I'm just going to do deathmatch stuff.
No, I'll go with hardcore. I don't know if I'm built for the deathmatch.
Well, hey man, before we get out of here, because I don't really know what your schedule look like for the next. Where can they find you? Where are you going to be at here for the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, this weekend, the first, I'll be at Southern Fried Championship Wrestling going up. I don't know who I pissed off, and I've been trying to call Manders. He doesn't answer the phone for me, at least. So hopefully he's answering your phone to get your phone calls to get tickets. But Judas, I mean, what? Like what? Like, look, buddy. I mean, you're a phenomenal wrestler, and to be honest, you work with the NWA. I mean, there's some other companies out there that I think you would fit well in, and maybe you could go visit them this weekend and like try to politic your way on those shows versus showing up at Southern Fried. Those people don't deserve you. And I will do my best to make up for you not being there. So just take that with a grain of salt, if you will, and hopefully take it into consideration. But then Sunday, I move on to another tall task of Lamar Diggs on Sunday. I don't know who I pissed off in this place, but the luck of the draw there is I've been in the ring with Diggs before, sending packing over the top rope of the one fall battle royal at center stage. So I do have a leg up in the competition in that over there. So and then I mean, every weekend in November I'm somewhere. The 8th I'm at WrestleMerica, and then Southern Honor, and so I'll be posting where I'm at, posting the match graphics and things like that. But definitely a busy schedule coming up.
Well, man, hopefully we'll catch you this weekend. I think we're going to be at the Southern Fried show potentially. That's our plan. But
All right.
Look, we always tell you fans, we greatly appreciate you listening every single week, watching us every single week, being Patreon members. It's always appreciated, I promise you. But look, we're one way to support indie wrestling. Another way is to obviously get in your car. We're going to talk about it on the Tapped Out show. Meyer and I will tell you about where you make the drives to get in your car. Go down to the building, buy a ticket, and like I said, Saturday, maybe at Southern Fried, we'll see you at the matches.